I want to thank everybody for coming to today's executive call, the Valhallan executive call. We do these calls quite often. It's myself today and David Graham, the CEO and founder of Valhallan Esports franchise. And so you're going to hear him in the background. He's unmuted just as long as we go through today. So just to kind of give you a breakdown on what today is going to be, we like to do these calls every so often to be able to help give you a better insight and understanding of kind of the direction we're going, what we're doing, and also allow you to ask whatever questions you have. We do host these calls and post these calls on our YouTube channel, so you can go back and listen to them. We use them as a resource for those who are looking into Valhallan and really wanting to understand kind of what we do a little bit better. So today, if you come across any questions that pop into your head, please write them down, because we will have an opportunity to ask whatever questions you want. There's no questions off the table. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a recap or a bird's eye view of who Valhallan Esports franchise and what we're doing, is what we've done is we've taken this as an opportunity, esports or competitive gaming, as an opportunity to build better kids. So that's our vehicle. So when you're thinking of what we do and how we do it, it's really not about hiring the best esports folks out there. It's really about the internal system and processes that we have in place, our exclusive curriculum, our teachers on staff, the things that we bring to the table to allow you to scale your business and really get more folks involved and really focus on your culture. So there's a few different ways we create revenue, which we're going to go over today. And we're also going to talk a little bit more just about what does that mean when it comes to curriculum in esports. Why did you come up with this, and where did it come from? So I'm going to also just let David Graham chime in whenever he wants in regards to also talking about more aspects of what we're doing. David, do you have anything you want to quickly add at all?
Yeah, I appreciate the time today, everyone. Valhallan is one of the most exciting projects I've ever gotten to work on. As somebody who was one of those kids that was kind of outside of the realm of playing sports and didn't have that idea of camaraderie that you get from those team activities, I can tell you it's a personal kind of great feeling to hear that our kids are able to come to our arenas and have a group of people that they feel like they belong with. And so that's the first thing, is that's why we built it, is to have an inclusive, safe environment for kids to be able to play games and learn those life skills. I always say, you know, Valhallan is the excuse was video games to get them to come there, and then we're going to make them great human beings. Our previous endeavors were very technically minded, like we're going to get you technical skills, we're going to get you things that you can be better in your workforce later on. Well, this one is more about the soft skills. This is more about talking about how do I communicate effectively, how do I work on a team, how am I a better community advocate, how do I display leadership qualities, all these things that are really missing from the general education, mainstream education system today, that are so valuable in making a productive human being in today's society. And so what I've seen is that parents really are picking up what we're putting down. They want their kid to be more active. And the screen time that they have on playing video games, it just seems like such a waste. And they hear the garbage that these other people are putting out there. It's not a safe environment. That, you know, they could have potential predators and all these things, these worries, these fears that parents have about their kids playing these games. And then we take all of that away because we're giving you a safe environment where you can come in. The kids in our network are going to be all under the same umbrella of rules. You have, we're only playing with kids in your age range and things like that. So I think the best way to think about it is just that. We're actively building a system and an environment that kids thrive in, and they can feel safe and secure in doing so. So, that's just what came to mind right then. You also mentioned something about, competitive gaming versus esports. I think that word esports, just, when I ask friends and family and people around, what do you think about whenever you think about esports? And, sometimes I hear, is that like NBA 2K? Is that like playing Madden? They literally go straight for the sports games But esports is a lot broader than that, and it has a lot more connotation than that. So what we want to really focus on is the competitive gaming aspect, and that means across the spectrum of games, not just video games, but we could do chess, we could do Go. We have a very large Asian community here, and Go is huge and popular in that community. And so we want to, break out a Go board and let's have at it and have fun. And so bringing that competition, that strategy, that critical thinking, that teamwork and camaraderie, even to a sport that's not necessarily a team-based sport, you can still have, that feel of being part of a bigger group. And I think that is what we're going to try to focus on, and what's so important, what Valhallan is bringing to the table.
We know that 75% of kids under the age of 17 years old are playing some sort of esports or competitive gaming daily, 75%. So what we found over this course of these last few years of developing Valhallan is that parents they will pay for something that shows a long-term benefit. Kids will stay because of competition, and you heard David just mention that. So if we kind of just reverse this a little bit and say, well, what happens if I want to bring my son in? So just kind of build a quick little scenario or example. If I were to bring my 9-year-old boy into Valhallan, he would be placed on a team. He would have a coach. So think of traditional athletics. He has a team. He has a coach. He's showing up at the same time every week, the same day, and he's working with his team before his match. And then when he has his match, because he competes weekly against other Valhallans across the country, he's competing weekly. You as a parent, me as a dad, I can log in, I can watch my son play through a Discord. I can also send him encouraging messages like I was sitting in the stands cheering him on. So we teach parents how to actively be involved as well, not just to be a bystander, but to be actively involved with what their son or their daughter is doing. Because at Valhallan, they're dropping off their most prized possession. We have to have it together. We have to be able to give them and show them what the long-term and short-term benefit is. And if you really think of the benefit of the value of my son, if I brought my son in, it's going to go probably anywhere from $130 to up to $200 a month. And that's going to be for up to about 16 hours a month. 8 hours is very structured. This is the day, this is the time, this is when they're going to have their match. It's very structured. The other 8 hours, you heard David mention a little bit already about having other activities inside that allow you to relate to your community and bring something in that reflects your community. So you're not just having to always focus on what works in Houston is going to work in, Virginia. Not true, right? There could be some similarities, but you still need to be able to have those flex points inside your Valhallan that allow you to build your culture, personalize your environment. And we recognize that as a franchise. And you heard David mention a little bit already about how you can incorporate different activities. You can incorporate chess. You can have pop-up tournaments. You can do player versus parent. You could have even online safety where you could do things inside your location. So parents can actually get quite a benefit from this and obviously have their player, their son or their daughter, pretty active on the inside. When you think of how the revenue works, the revenue-wise, we have the two main sources of revenue that come in. And by the way, just a reminder, if anybody has any questions, there's going to be a Q&A at the end, and you'll be able to ask whatever question you want. When I say at the end, like in the next 10 minutes, you'll be able to just fire off with whatever questions you have. To kind of go over the revenue to really quickly, there's two basic buckets of revenue. You have your subscription and then your single payment. Your subscription is going to be what we just talked about, which is where that monthly payment comes in, monthly tuition or monthly, however you want to say that, comes in from mom and dad. Because the parents are the customer, right? And our players are in our location, that they're going to stay because of that competition. But our real customer and who we have to go after are going to be the parents. They have to see the value. They're paying. So we do have to be sure we show the value, which we have a really nice parent presentation we can use. So that's that subscription model. They're going to be coming in for up to about 16 hours a month. and that can vary per location. We give you that flexibility, but 8 hours is very structured. And then you have your single payment form. The majority of your single payment is going to be your camps. That's going to be a solid 40% of your overall revenue. And then you're going to have birthday parties. You can have pop-up tournaments. You can do things like that just allow maybe more traffic inside your location, parents' night out, just other smaller sources of revenue that you can add into your location. But the majority of your revenue is going to come from your subscription model and your camps. Camps are done whenever there's not school. It's not just about the summer months. Camps can be customized based on whatever the time of year that kids are not going to be in school. So if they're off on a Thursday, Friday, and you want to do a Thursday to a Sunday camp, we want you to do that. We want you to have those activities and those opportunities inside your Valhallan.
Yeah, Marty, I think you really touched on something there, and I'd like to go over it a little more detail as far as, the different line items that are on your P&L whenever you're thinking about how you can make money. I've always been a huge fan of the recurring revenue models, because what I like to see is in any of my businesses is I want to get my business on a cash flow, net zero. I want, that's my first goal, right? I want to get to zero cash flow basis as quickly as possible, because as you know, we can't go negative for very long typically. We certainly can't go negative forever. So getting to that kind of stasis point, you can go at zero forever. You wouldn't want to, and that's not the goal. The big goal is to obviously make a bunch of money, but the quicker you can get to that break-even point, and the better. And I found that recurring revenue models are the best way to get there. And one of the reasons I think that's true is that's why that recurring revenue line, which is the subscription to our legendary path, which is what the kids are going to be signing up for and wanting to keep coming back for as they progress through milestones in that program, that line item will continue to snowball. The snowball gets a little bigger every month. And eventually that line item by itself should cover your expenses. Now we made our expenses lower than for this exact purpose. We made them lower for this exact purpose so that subscription line could overcome your expenses as quickly as possible. Now everything else, the workshops, the leagues, the competitions, the tournaments, the parents' night out, all these other line items that we have built in. Oh, camps, by the way, 40% of all your revenue. All of those revenues then, after you've snowballed and you've gotten your recurring revenue covering your expenses, all that other stuff is profit. And that's really where you want to live, is get that, and eventually even the recurring revenue, by the way, starts profiting pretty handsomely if you've done your job right. And so that's what we want to see. We want to see that, year-round you have sustainable, consistent revenue. A lot of these companies out there, I'm not going to name any of them, but they run on a seasonal model. And we have seasons in our tournaments, but we don't run on a seasonal model for our revenue. What I don't want you guys to have to deal with is like January, you have all this money come in, but February and March, you still got bills to pay, but you don't have money rolling in. So what we did was we distribute that throughout the year. You were able to build your income in a strategic, planned way. You set your KPIs, your goals, all these things, your spending from advertising, all these things are well planned out so you know when you hit your goals and what you need to, if you need to turn a knob or pull a lever to get to where you need to be in the next month, you know what to do, and we can help you get there.
Well, and a couple of things before we open the lines up for any questions that come in. Some people don't realize is that David and I have actually been to multiple countries looking at esports opportunities. So not even a year ago, we were over in the UK. We went to multiple esports facilities because there's some great facilities over there. We found and fixed the problems. And we can get so deep into the weeds of the problems that we have solved. It'll blow your mind. on all these little issues that we found in multiple countries. So this wasn't something that was just thought of and let's just launch this in the U.S. No, we actually hit the road. We traveled. We've been on so many different calls and been at so many different locations in multiple countries to see what is working, what is the look, what is the feel, who are the people. And we found that not a lot of these people were these high-end esports players, but they were just passionate about the industry in general. They weren't pros by any means, and they played multiple games. They weren't, exclusively on one, but they loved working with inside the world of esports. So how could we bring that and use that energy? And that's why we created our coaching guides. That's why we created our own curriculum. So now you can take these individuals who are passionate about it, plug them into a system, which these folks are easy to find, and now you have a winning recipe. And we found that. That's why we've created hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue that we can legally show everybody, hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue in just the first year. That's pretty incredible. And when you think about why that is everything we've done to try to make this scalable and to make this doable, so that you're not having to get in there and all of a sudden you come up with a bunch of problems that you can't fix. We love skepticism. We love to walk through any kind of skepticism that anybody has with inside this model in the esports industry and what's going on. We have a great team that walks through all those types of questions that you might be able to come up with. So, and when your main competition is starting to refer people to you, I mean, their franchisees are referring people to you. That's pretty awesome. Actually, that's pretty telling right there alone.
Yeah, I think I'm in pretty close contact with all of what you would say is our competition, and I understand their models very well. And a few of them I still talk to. I call them frenemies. We're very friendly, even though we're competitive. And I just think everybody's kind of looking to us as the thought leaders and the innovators in this space, because what we're doing is challenging the status quo, and it's working. And I think that's validated by our kind of explosive growth compared to everybody else that's trying to do what we're doing. So
I'm gonna go ahead and open it up for you. So if anybody has questions, feel free to. You can actually, if you're on a phone, you may have to. It'll tell you hit *6 or something, and it'll give you kind of virtually raise your hand. So I'm going to unmute David again. So if anybody has any questions, they'll be able to jump on in. But if you have any questions, you can virtually raise your hand. If you want to type them into the chat, go ahead and type them into the chat. Happy to answer any questions that anybody has. Here we go. We got a question. All right, here, I unmuted you. Go ahead. Do you have a question?
Yeah, my name's Terrence Dunbar, and I'm definitely interested. I'm a retired professional athlete, and I wanted to know what would be the next step?
Yeah, so next step would be for you and I to get on the phone together and actually just walk through kind of what the pathway is from here. So okay. love to be able to do that. So is this your number, the one that you typed in here?
214-702. Yeah.
Yeah, got that one. Okay. So what I'll do is we'll set up a time to talk after this. And is there any other questions you have right off the bat?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Are you guys using any like mixed reality technology, maybe AR glasses or Oculus, when you're talking about the game? And have you guys looked into that feature?
With the announcement from Apple this week, and Oculus isn't going anywhere. I think they hit some stumbling blocks with what Meta was trying to do, but I don't know. I just think the technologies are so cool that we're going to definitely have to get into something with that. Now, gaming itself hasn't really picked up what they're putting down yet, right? I mean, it's still an emerging space, and so we would probably wait. So we don't want to be bleeding edge. That's how people get cut up. But we'll stay on the cutting edge, and figure out how we can integrate that as soon as it becomes a little more popular or a little more appropriate for that to do that. There's some really cool places like Sandbox VR and stuff like that. Those are like $5 million bill outs and things. So we definitely are keeping an eye on that space to see what we can do, for sure.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll chat with you in a bit. I'll text you in a little bit. We'll set up a time.
All right.
Wonderful. We have a question over. This might be in the UK. Oh, hang on. Now you're up. Okay, you're off mute. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
Happy calling from the UK. Just had a couple questions. First one, what would be the associated startup costs for myself who's in the UK? Do you guys have an estimate as to, what I need to be prepared for? And secondly, how do you guys deal with the wear and tear that comes, from the keyboards and the mouses and the headphones, etc., And do you guys have a way of sort of efficiently dealing with issues that occur?
I can speak to the latter first, if you don't mind, Marty.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so one of the cool things that you get from being a part of a franchise and is kind of the buying power. I think that's what most people are, apply to franchising. One of the things is, you're able to kind of combine everything into one buying group, and you therefore get discounts and whatnot. One of the cool things that we were able to accomplish is a deal with Lenovo Legion, which is a big player in the esports space, and it's, Lenovo is owned by IBM. It's one of the largest manufacturers of PCs in the world. We have a program with them that they can internationally distribute the Legion computers, peripherals, devices. We also have a Mavix partnership. So all those peripherals, all the wear and tear kind of pieces are going to be under warranty, first of all, which you don't normally get, but also you can go for leases and things like that where you pay a lower monthly cost, and so you don't have a capital expenditure. You move all that to an operational cost, and you can do that over time. And at the end of the lease, you can choose to pay it off or keep the equipment, or you can just get all new equipment and kind of roll it into a normal, your base operating expenses. I think we chose to do the latter in our corporate location here in Pearland, and I think that was the smart thing to do. Instead of paying, ours are dollars, of course, but it's $50,000 or so for the 25 computers with peripherals. I think we ended up, somewhere in the $1,300 a month range for our expenses on our computers, and that included mice, keyboards, everything except for our branded mouse pads. So I thought that was a really good deal. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds awesome. Thank you.
And it also, to segue into your first question, it also reduces dramatically your cost to open. So, Marty, go ahead.
Yeah, your cost to open. So in the U.S., and I'm going to U.S., Canada, and the U.K. kind of all fit into the same. There hasn't been anybody that I've worked with yet that has gone over our I tell everybody 140,000 to 180,000 if you're 1,200 to 1,400 square feet. So 1,200 to 1,400 square feet, I haven't worked with anybody yet that has gone over 180,000 in that range. Now, if you talk about that's everything from franchise fee, pre-opening marketing dollars, that's your gear, that is everything you can think of. I was just working with somebody the other day. They're 1,500 square feet, and they're coming in at 160. So when we talk about the investment to open, it is lower than you're expected. Then we can show you the data for revenue for that first year. So we haven't seen any expenses to open greater than the revenue that we can show you for that first year and the data we can show you. So that's pretty exciting. So cost-wise, we want you to be as low as possible on that investment and cost. This is why we want you to cast a real wide net when it comes to your real estate. And how we do that is we say, okay, can you hang a sign on the building? Do we have a well-lit parking lot? Is it in a safe area? Does it meet all the demographic numbers that we have data that tell us that's going to be a successful location because of X, Y, and Z? We paid for that. We have that data. We know communities that are going to be successful because we have the data, we have the research. And so when you think of the cost to open, it goes all the way back onto that real estate. If it meets those criteria, then let's dig into it. Let's consider it. Second floor, first floor, ground level. Let's look at it. It doesn't have to be off a high street. we want to be able to get you the right real estate and that making sure that it represents the brand well and where you're going to be at in your community. All right, and we have a question in the chat, which, Hayes, yeah, we can convert things over. So for sure, if you want to give me a call or text me, I would say shoot me a text message, 763.
I don't think everybody can see the question, so maybe you can.
The question, he has an existing esports lounge or business, and he wants to convert it over to a Valhallan. And so that's what his question is, and I said, yes, we can definitely do that. If you want to shoot me a text message, we can set up a time to chat. My cell phone is 763-516-3578. And then let's plan a time to.
About your real phone number, like that's.
Yeah, it's been years. I get random text messages. It's exciting. So if there's any other questions, we're happy to dig in. We still have more time, but if you have no questions and we're good, is there anything else, David, that you'd like to add in?
I think I'll just talk about our experience in the growth area that we are right now. In our former brands, we saw hyper growth. So what ends up happening here is we sold quite a few units. We're working really hard to get those open. We'll have 30 or so open at the end of the summer. And what happens is all those cherry-picked markets, which those first 30 are, obviously, they're the kind of the best markets in the countries. Those are going to be visited by affluent people in affluent areas, and they're going to see those, and they're going to be like, "This is great. I want to open one too." And so, as soon as that happens, we get bombed basically with a flood of people who want to participate in what we're doing and make it a bigger thing. And so we fully expect by the end of the year and maybe middle of next year that we're going to be well over 100 units involved in getting developed in different stages of development. And so if you're thinking, you know what, I'm sitting here in outskirts of Atlanta or outskirts of Dallas or out in some major city, and I'll just wait. I'm going to wait it out. And this isn't a pitch. This is me working from experience. This is me telling you I've seen people almost in tears because they couldn't have the market that they wanted, and they wanted to get in. They just procrastinated. This company is about to go into another level of growth. And if you get on board now, you can still kind of cherry pick those great territories. There's still going to be some B territories and C territories that will open up later, but those really prime ones, those really ones that we're just going to be knocking out of the park, those are still available right now, whereas they're not going to be in the coming 2 years, something like that. So I just want to have a sense of urgency. I want to say, don't procrastinate. If this is something you're truly passionate about, if you think you can hitch your wagon to a team like ours that has a history of success and bringing stuff like this to the marketplace, don't wait.
Looks like Jessica has a question. And unmute. There we go, Jessica.
Well, hello, everyone. I am calling from Las Vegas, Nevada here, and I did see, and I can concur with the urgency moment, because I started looking to see if there were arenas in my area, and I do see there was already 4, but because I do know my wonderful city, people will be 20 minutes from something and say, that is so far away, where I'm used to being the long Georgia drives, where in Atlanta, you can be in Alpharetta, and if you want to get to the airport, that's a wonderful, on a good day, that's an hour ride. On a bad day, that's a 2.5-hour ride.
So true. I've done
it. Looking at the map, my biggest question, since you mentioned the urgency in that part, I'm also concerned with the overpopulation. I understand with Vegas, you can, get the people in those communities to have a short drive. And I do see the the western side is pretty much, there's 4 facilities that's in the making. Would it be smart for me to look in this area, or would it be better for me to look in a different area? Like if I just have to have it at a different location, a different state, what would you suggest?
I would say that what we would do is we would get on the phone together. We would do a screen share. Part of this process, and we look at territories, because I love to share data and talk through it. So we would look at Las Vegas, because I do believe there still is room in Las Vegas, but we don't like to cannibalize our locations. So what I would do, Jessica, is we would get on a call. We would look over the entire market together. We would do a screen share. We would map out territories, let you look at it together, and if that didn't meet, if we all didn't agree, then we could look at other states. There's a lot of really good opportunities out there that we've already pulled out of the map, so we know exactly where some of the best markets across the country are.
Yeah, and our history in the kids space tells the story too. I mean, we know where we can put a pin and have a top 10 arena open. So we'll lean in on that. I will say that if you do open in Las Vegas, you have a fantastic partner franchisee there. They're a dynamic duo partnership there that are tied into everybody from the NFL to professional esports players. They're doing something special there in Las Vegas, and we're excited to see what's coming up. And they are not slow. They are very fast paced. They want to open all 4 of those locations as quickly as they can. So.
Well, wonderful. Well, I would say that if there is no other questions, we don't have any. Oh, we've got Jessica ready, so they're there. So if we have no other questions, then I would like to say just thanks again for taking time. I know this was 30 minutes. I really do appreciate it. We're going to host this on our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to go back and listen to it and share it. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me at any time. You can shoot me a text message. We'll set up a time to chat. And again, that number 763-516-3578, and then we'll set up a time to chat. So otherwise, since there's no other questions, I'm going to say I appreciate your time. Thanks for taking this last 30 minutes on your Thursday to join us. David, any last words?
Just thanks, everybody. We know you have other places you could be, and you took some time to spend it with us, so I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.